Hey, everybody. This is Annette Reynolds. I'm with the League of Women Voters of Waltham. We had a short hiatus of our Know Your City webinars because of the election, but we are back on schedule, and I am so delighted this evening to have Sharyn Nolan from the Waltham Cultural Council here to tell us about the work that she and the council does. Welcome, Sharyn.
Hi, thank you so much, Annette, for having me here tonight.
Okay, well, we were discussing, we had a short discussion before we came live here. We started this series of webinars because when I looked at the city website, I found like 30 or 40 different organizations associated with the city, and I was actually a little bit embarrassed that I knew so little about so many of them. And I knew about the Waltham Cultural Council because I know some people who've benefited from the work that you do, but I didn't know much more than that. So this is really a delight for me, and I'm sure for our audience, to learn more about it. Now, Sharyn has been kind enough to present a slide presentation. So I'm going to turn it right over to you, Sharyn. And then as we have questions, just put them in the Q&A. And I have a series of questions as well. So we're going to get to know you really, really well this evening.
Excellent. Well, again, thank you so much for allowing me to take up some of your time tonight. And as Annette was saying, and it was something that the Waltham Cultural Council, we've been talking about a lot too, is just there's so much going on in the city of Waltham. And in terms of arts, culture, STEAM and STEM education. There's just so much going on as well. And to Annette's point from earlier, I think we've run into the same kind of issue where it can be difficult to really connect all of these activities and all of the individuals and organizations who've been working on so many great projects. So I'm really going to try to use the opportunity tonight in talking to you all to really try to promote some of our grantees, as well as talk a little bit about our program. So I'll go ahead and just jump in. Before I do, this is a picture from the Waltham's graffiti camp, and I'm going to be using my notes here just because I don't want to get my information wrong. Sponsored by the Waltham Public Library and Beyond Walls Festival in Lynn. And I'll show you a little bit more about this in just a couple minutes here. So just to talk a little bit about who we are. So we are part of the Massachusetts Cultural Council. It's a statewide organization, and the Mass Cultural Council has what's called the Local Cultural Council Program. And so it's got this program where it works with local municipalities to create grant programs. And so there are grant programs for I think almost every community within Massachusetts. And it's as you can see here in the slides, it's the largest grassroots cultural funding network in the nation. It's been awarding $4 million every year and has been supporting 6,000 cultural programs. And it includes everything from field trips, lectures, festivals, dance performances. The picture that you see right here, I believe, is probably from the Honk festival that happens in Somerville every year in October, which is a really great event if you get a chance to go to that. So we represent Waltham. So our goal is to foster and sustain art and culture programs within our community. So what we do is we primarily run a grant program each year that provides financial assistance to artists and organizations. We also try to again kind of like cultivate a little bit of that connection between the different artists and organizations. And also we're trying to promote arts and cultural awareness within the Waltham community itself. This is just a list of our current members for this year, 2021 and 2022. Currently, we are a team of 8. Folks from all across Waltham, and I wanted to point out we do have Delaney Pond as our teen advisor this year. We are open to definitely recruiting new members. We can have up to 22 people on a cultural council. So if you are interested at all after tonight's presentation, please do feel free to email us. If you are a teen, a Waltham teen, and you're interested in the arts as well, we do have like I just mentioned, a teen advisory group. So we're definitely interested in seeing if we can tap into your experience as well.
Sharyn, let me ask you a question here.
Yeah.
You have council members. What responsibilities do they have? If I wanted to join the council, what would I be expected to do?
Sure. Well, the main thing that we do is we do the grant program, and the grant program primarily what we do is we review all of the applications that we get each year. So over the last couple of years, we've gotten, say, about like 50 to 60 applications in each cycle. Yeah, it's great. And again, it's for individual artists, it's organizations, it's it runs the gamut from the Waltham Public Library's teen program that does the graffiti camp, to other individual artists that are interested in doing a singular event in Waltham, or artists who will be working with the schools. So it's a lot to get through. So what our primary responsibility is to review these grants during that particular time period. It's usually our time is from about mid-October to just now. We just finished our cycle. So we have a couple of months where we meet very regularly. We talk about the application process. Once the applications come in, we spend our time going through them. And our job is to divvy up the grant money amongst the applicants. That's our main purpose. Again, that's where we kind of spend our chunk of our time. If you were interested in volunteering that time period, I would say it's probably, maybe about like 10 to 15 hours worth of time within that chunk, say between October and January. We do try to be really efficient when we're meeting together to go over those applications. So in terms of the time commitment, it doesn't have to be a lot. If you want to be an officer, your time commitment does grow from there. In terms of throughout the rest of the year, we'll be spending time getting to know our grantees a little bit more. We have a kind of a liaison program we're starting out, where each one of our members will be kind of assigned to one of our grantees to just to follow up with them as the year goes on. The last couple of years have been very challenging, as you can imagine, because of COVID. And we thought that this might be an opportunity just to make sure that we're connecting with our grantees, make sure that if there's anything we can do to help support them. Again, if it's especially like if we can help promote the programming that they're doing, if they need grant extensions, if they need other, if they're looking for other ideas and resources, we want to be a resource for them.
Mm-hmm.
Does that answer your question?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Awesome. I'll go ahead and click on. My next couple of slides, one of the things I did want to point out is we did a survey. This was in, I think, late summer of 2020. So, of course, right in the heart of the pandemic. But we were reaching out to members of the Waltham community, and we are tasked with trying to figure out what our priorities are each year. And so we use this survey to really, really kind of hone in on the priorities of the community so that we can figure out our priorities from there. So I just wanted to point out a couple of the things that we've heard from the community in terms of how, in terms of art and culture in Waltham. So this was one of the questions we asked, which was, what do you consider to be important issues relating to culture in our community? And you'll notice here that diversity, equity, inclusion just is right at the top.
That actually warms my heart. It
was really important, I think, for us to really hear this from our community, that this is really what they expect from us and what they'd like to see within the arts and cultural community within Waltham. So that's something I definitely want to share. And if there's ways that we can help, we have a whole kind of survey that we did. So I'm really happy to share more information about this with anybody. A couple other things just to point out here, neighborhood revitalization. That was one of the priorities as well. The school system needs, artists, their workspaces, and special population group needs. So these were some of the things that we heard from the community when we were reaching out to them. Another question, what should be the most important priorities that we should be considering in terms of funding? And here, just to point out a couple of things that we heard, projects celebrating local history and cultural diversity, as well as community-wide gatherings. They kind of got the most votes. Also, arts education in the schools, nature, science, and environmental education projects, professional development of local artists through community projects, restoration or preservation projects, and field trips for students to museums or performances. So again, this is just something we use as kind of a guiding light for us in terms of our priorities. So this is something we keep in mind when we're doing that review of the grant applications. And then finally, I hope that you can see this slide pretty well. We really wanted to know who we should be who should be reached through the public funding of arts and culture projects here. And one of the things you'll notice is that teens really score quite high. And this was the thing that kind of prompted us to start our teen advisory group. So teens are rated at a 65%. Seniors as well, low income, people with disabilities, families, communities of color, that scored really high as well, immigrant communities as well. Single adults, that was a little bit lower on perhaps the priority list, but again, that was a good thing for us to hear as well. Okay. So that's all I had with the survey. Just wanted to show some pictures because I really want to, again, highlight some of our grantees here, and talk a little bit about, this was an opportunity for us to look over the numbers over the last 5 years. So this is just to give you an idea of our impact over the last several years. The total number of our grantees, just over 200. So again, this is organizations. This is the Waltham Philharmonic. You see a picture of that below. This is the Waltham Public Library. This is also community-wide kind of programs such as or festivals such as Steampunk that happens in Waltham Common. The Farmers Market holds a summer concert series. There's also a summer concert series in Waltham Common. But it also includes, again, individual artists. We've worked with the schools, so helping out in terms of their enrichment activities at the elementary schools, field trips as well. So it's can range, the number of people that are served within an event or a program has ranged from 10, it could be like a really small workshop, maybe perhaps to learn, there's a trumpet workshop that's done, I think, through maybe through the middle school. There's just very small programs that are really focused on a very specific group. And then there's some projects that can really reach widely. The 30,000 number that you see here, that comes from the public library. So some of their programming has been sponsored in part by the Waltham Cultural Council. So yeah, it can really range. But it's really been a really great opportunity to learn about some of the arts and cultural programming that's happening in the community. Just again, to kind of switch more of the focus on some of our grantees that I wanted to highlight. This is the Waltham Boys and Girls Club. This was actually an event that happened last week.
Last week, yes, I saw it in the paper, yes.
Over Martin Luther King Day. There is a big mural project called Murals of Change. And the Waltham Boys and Girls Club worked really hard to get this mural up and running. And we were really excited. We were invited to help start it out. And so you'll see the picture on the at the top is those of us just starting in the morning to start the painting the mural. And then the one at the bottom, I believe, is more towards the end of the day when they were nearly finished. And it's just an amazing, it was a great event and just amazing to see this project come together. Just wanted to highlight a little bit of our last couple of years. There are, just to give you an idea of, again, the number of people, or number of applicants. This was our last year, our 2021 grant review. We had 64 applicants. 44 of those applicants were funded. That's one of the things we're unfortunately, I don't think ever able to grant every single project, but we definitely try our best to make sure that any of the projects that really fit within our priorities do get some funding. Last year, our total was about $53,000 that we were able to grant out. This is a list of the different grantees and projects. And again, I can make this information available to you, to anybody who's interested. Again, everybody from the Steampunk Festival to scholarship for Brass Connections, to Summer Rock Band Camp, to the Waltham Children's Business Fair, circus arts. They had to do a lot of these grantees had to switch to virtual last year, and some even this year as well. So they were pivoting their programming. There was a comics book summer camp that happened last year as well. And also, of course, the schools, we try to make sure that we support them. Whoops, sorry about that. And it goes on. Again, lots of different organizations that I think a lot of people are familiar with, but then also, some individual artists as well. Let's see. Oh yeah, there's the Waltham Boys and Girls Club at the bottom there, Waltham's Field Community Farm, Waltham Elementary, let's see, Prospect Hill Community Foundation. So lots of different projects. Again, just some really centered on a particular group of people, others that are really community wide.
Mhm.
And then for this year's applications, again, this is hot off the presses. We just finished our grant cycle a week ago, I think. So we have 51 applications that we received this year. 39 were funded, and our total amount granted this year is $48,000. I just want to show these pictures here are from the Waltham graffiti camp that I had mentioned at the beginning of the presentation. Just really incredible program. They bring together, I can talk about it just really quickly. So they bring together, I think, middle schoolers and also high schoolers. On day one, they learn, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes here.
Okay.
They learn the techniques of letter making. They create their first pieces on a canvas, as you can see in this picture here. On day two, they take a field trip to see graffiti art in action. And on day three, they team up and they learn to use spray paint to create a group mural. So it's a really, really cool project.
That sounds like fun for old people too.
It's, yeah, I've thought about that too. I'm like, I wonder if we can kind of extend that.
Can we be a chaperone? Hands-on
Right.
chaperone?
Just a quick, I don't want to take up all of our time here, but yeah, this is just our list for our 2022 grantees. Again, we see new grantees every year. We see some repeats as well. So like the Waltham River Fest is another big community festival that was granted this year. Again, Charles River Museum of Industry.
Let me ask you about Ethnic Arts Center of Somerville. What are they doing here in Waltham?
They are actually going to be working with the Waltham YMCA to create programming for, I believe it's going to be programming for the April school vacation week.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's really great. So they're looking at all sorts of different, they put together different like 10-minute puppet shows that are really focused on showcasing a variety of different cultures. And they're going to customize their program based on, on the different cultures that make up their audience. So yeah, they're going to be working with the YMCA during April school vacation.
We have a question here from Karen, who may have come in late. Want to know about the origin of the Cultural Council and who funds the council itself. Well, if I understand you correctly, the funds come from the statewide, the Mass Cultural Council, and they distribute it throughout the state.
So it comes in part from the Massachusetts Cultural Council, and for us, they've provided about half of the funding over the last couple of years. The city of Waltham has also provided about half of the funding as well. So we get really great support from from the city here.
Okay, sorry to interrupt, but
No.
I saw a question pop up here. I am just absolutely amazed at how $50,000, $40,000, $47,000 is so productive. It's leveraged to such a great degree when I see all of these programs.
Thank you. Yeah, that is the challenge.
Yes.
That is the challenge. I definitely, I've been involved for the last 2 years, and we've definitely seen, I think overall, just an increase probably each year really, and in general, an increase in the number of applicants and interest. And it's difficult because, there are a few programs and projects that you can just fully fund when you are thinking, okay, we've got, this whole pool of other grantees to be looking at as well. So that's what we spend a lot of our time, our review time doing. And we talk a lot about, okay, we try to have some of our priorities in place. And we actually go through and we say, okay, the summer concerts on the Common, does it hit, our diversity priority? Does it hit, is it serving families? Is it serving, the whole population, or, who is it serving? It's a really important process for us to go through, so that we could confidently, make these decisions. Just wanted to highlight another one of our grantees, African Cultural Services, primarily because we've been funding them over the last last several years, and they're an example of a group that's serving not just a select group of people, but also involved in so many of the community-wide programs, so that their reach is quite large, or quite big. African Cultural Services, they're also known as Africano, and we've got their website listed up here. I'm just going to read their mission statement really quickly. Their mission is to use a holistic approach to lift African immigrant youth and their families to succeed in life through provision of a safe space, educational and mental assistance, visual and performing arts, and cultural connections. They work in, I think, three main branches. They focus on education, so they do things like SAT and college prep work. They have an enrichment program where they have classes, they learn about drumming, socializing, they do hair making workshops, mentoring, and then they do community outreach as well. They work on the biliteracy distribution. They work on day-to-day needs like food. They have parent and student phone check-ins. They're really, right now, I looked on their website earlier today, and they also have, at the moment, they have the Africano School Assistance Program, which is, the objective is to make a safe and supportive learning environment for low and moderate income African immigrant youth during COVID-19. So it's just one of the many grantees that we've been working with. I'm just going to jump to the next slide because it's another, I just love all the pictures. If there are any grantees out there, please send in more pictures because they're great. But we just wanted to kind of end with one of the programs, and we've been able to sponsor. There's a magazine that they produce every year now. This is their second or third year that they've been working on. They've been working on again these dance classes, drum classes. It's a really great great service that this organization is providing. So I encourage everybody to check them out. And then this is just our, just ending here. I've got a link to our website. The website's not particularly informative, but it does give you our list of priorities. And also includes a link to the Massachusetts Cultural Council website, where if you are interested in applying for a grant, it'll give you information about how to do that there. The best way probably to get a hold of us if you have any questions is through our email address, which is listed here. And then we're also on social media as well. Okay, that was it.
That wonderful. I'm sitting here gobsmacked again because of the reach of the organization, and with I'm just shaking my head, $45,000, $50,000. You are doing so much with it. As I do with all of our presentations, I sent you a list of possible questions that I had about it, and you've answered most of them. But I'm going to ask this one. If you had a magic wand, what would you do to better support the council? I'm going to say obviously more money, but what else, if anything?
Yeah, I was going to say, the more money would be awesome. It would just make those all of our meetings so much easier. And we talk about that a lot. It would be lovely to just be able to be like, yes, just and just be able to give the full amount requested. Other than that, one of the things I'd love to see is but I'd love to see more people join the Waltham Cultural Council. I think it would be great if the council itself could better reflect the diversity of Waltham.
Mhm.
That would be, I think that would really add important voices to the council, and again, just give us another connection
Mhm.
to the community itself. So.
Here we have a couple questions that have popped up. I have one. Can I contribute directly to the Cultural Council? Can I write you a check?
Ooh, that's a great question. I'm not sure. Let me, I can look into that for you. That is something actually we did talk about very briefly a couple of meetings ago. And I'm sorry to say, I don't know one of my council member friends, I think was going to look into that a little bit more.
I guess if, assuming we couldn't, we could always support the local organization that you support as well.
Yeah.
Diana wants to know, how do you let people know about the application timetable and application process, besides coming and doing a presentation like this?
Yes, so we do have an email list. We make sure that we, once you become an applicant, you're stuck with us. You're on our list. So we make sure that that's really our network. So we make sure that we let everybody know through email, an email blast, usually close to the time that the grant application process opens. And that usually opens, I'm sorry, I think I misspoke. I think it usually opens in September and goes through the middle of October. That timeline has shifted a little bit over the last couple of years with COVID. So, forgive me if I'm getting that a little bit wrong, but yes, we'll definitely send an email out. And if you haven't been an applicant yet, but you would like to be a part of this email blast, again, definitely feel free to send us an email and we'll get you on it.
And Karen wants to know, would like you to tell more about the outreach program, how it's working, where you said council representatives would be in touch with applicants or potential applicants.
Yeah, great question. It's actually something new that we're still working on on developing this year. We think enough members of the council this year that we can actually kind of create this what we're calling like a liaison program, where we can kind of, what we're doing is we're assigning a group of 2 people to each of our grantees. And what we'll be doing is we'll be reaching out to them probably actually within the next, hopefully, month to 6 weeks, definitely before their program or their event, and just reach out to them to see if they'd like to promote their event through our social media or through our email blast. Also, just to see if we can attend as well, just to get a better idea of how the event goes. We do have a number of grantees that do apply year after year, and so if we have a better idea of just how everything goes, I think that helps us when it comes to the decision-making process as well.
Good. I have, another question popped up. It would be wonderful to offer publicity and outreach. It was a comment from Karen. Okay. And I have one last question for you. What questions did I forget to ask you? Another way of saying, how can we help you do what you need to do?
I think Yeah, again, we've been really talking a lot about the connection. How do we better connect these individuals and organizations, not just with, well, primarily actually with each other, and the community at large. One of the things that we noticed that when we were going through the grant applications, I particularly noticed it this year. There are a lot of, maybe not a lot, but there are some artists and organizations that are doing similar work. And I've almost felt like, it'd be great to get these people in a room together, just because we need support right now. Every artist and every arts and cultural organization needs support, especially right now. And so it really, makes you think, how do we make this network more of a network? How do we get this to work this connection to work a little bit better? And so I think that's, anything. And again, when we heard about this, I'm like, oh, this is wonderful. This is having these kind of presentations, being able to, promote a program like this, trying to find where those connections are. I think that's really, important. And that's something we could, we're still just a volunteer organization of, at the moment, 8 people. So, any way that, and any ideas that you might have, that anybody has on how we can better, promote each other's work, and better make those connections. That's I think what we would be most interested in.
Do you have access to somebody like the city social media consultant? Can somebody like that help you? And
yeah, so we do. We are talking with the city actually quite a bit, and the city has been. And I'm sorry, I should have probably mentioned that earlier. The city has been a great partner in terms of promoting the work that we do. One of the things that we've noticed, there are, in other towns and other cities, there are, there's somebody within the city that is specifically assigned to these kind of, to this kind of work, like kind of an arts and cultural, czar, I guess. And that's something that, we don't have in Waltham at the moment. So, yeah, since we don't have somebody, we don't have like a singular place to just kind of put all this, all the events that arts organizations and artists are doing. That's something that we're talking about, is that something that we can take on, but we're still very limited. So yeah, we have worked with the city. What I'm kind of hoping is that we can, put, show them presentations like this and see if there's more that, that we haven't thought of that, yeah, they might be able to help with.
okay. Well, I see no more questions from our audience. I want to say that I learned a lot tonight. I thank you so very much. I am tremendously impressed, as I say, with the amount of great work you do with the, I'm sorry, $50,000 is not a lot of money to promote art and culture in a city the size of Waltham. And you've done a marvelous job of taking that money and touching so many people. We've got one more question. Let's see, Karen. No, she said this was wonderful. Thank you very much.
Good. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate this opportunity. And yes, please feel free to email us with any questions you might have.
And as I mentioned, we will get this on our Facebook page, on our website, send it to WCAC. I will be sure to include contact information so that people can reach out to you, your email address. And again, I can't thank you enough.
Well, thank you so much, Annette. I really appreciate it.
I'll talk to you soon. Thank you, everybody. We'll be back shortly with the next Know Your City. Bye-bye now.
you.